Hello and welcome to Transmission. Tonight I am joined by the lovely Amanda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure.
So, look, we were having a bit of a chat before, but would you like to sort of just, you know, say a little bit about yourself? Who is sort of Amanda?
Amanda's a painter, an artist, a writer, and occasional spoken word poet. That's pretty much it. I recently done a creative arts degree, which I would like to continue with in a couple of years. So do some postgrad study, bit of overseas, wandering around galleries.
Yeah. Whereabouts?
Spain, Paris, to go to Gustave Moreau's musée, who I'm desperately in love with. He died 100 years ago, but I'm still desperately in love with his work. Italy, of course. Yeah, a bit of an art overdose.
Yeah.
So that's the plan.
Cool. So you've just sort of finished studying?
Yeah, last year, and I'm just working again in a gallery and picture framing business, which is a lot of fun. Sort of feeds my attention to detail, which drives other people nuts. But if you want a picture framed, you'll know that it's going to be accurate if you get me to do it. Yep.
So quite heavily involved both in work and so I suppose interest in sort of the art.
Yeah, pretty much, which is quite a turnaround. I was once upon a time a Collins Street suit for many years, and that was good. I didn't mind corporate life, but it was time for a change. So time to let the artiste out. So
what sort of prompted the change?
Look, I think I was turning into a grumpy old man and not very pleasant to be around at work.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be the kindest thing for me to leave, which I was happy to do. The kids had finished school, so it was time to sort of refocus and pursue some of my real passions. So corporate life, I wouldn't say I was ever passionate about. It paid the bills, there were some nice people to work with, some interesting projects, and that season is over, never to be repeated.
That's fair enough. I think once you get to start doing what you actually love doing, it's hard to...
Makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
It really does.
So I suppose you were mentioning beforehand about that you sort of have, I suppose, a unique take on sort of who you are as a person in terms of,
Yeah, in terms of a gender identity.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not sure how unique it is. It's my take. I did do a couple of units of gender studies in the course I've just done, and I was always disturbed by the brands and the labels that were either put on people or that people put on themselves. I've never been a good joiner of organisations or interest groups. So for me, being a person and I guess identifying myself as a writer and an artist is far more important than a trans something or other, wherever somebody wants to put me on the spectrum. As I was saying to you earlier, I'm genetically a male. I can't change that. I have been all my life. I've not felt trapped in a boy's body, as I'm sure some people no doubt are, and that's fine, but I haven't. I've got all those dangly bits. I know what they're for. I've got 2 beautiful children, and I've got a couple of extra bits that are coming along quite nicely. So where that places me, I have no idea or interest.
But it's sort of that you're a person and you're who you are and
precisely
happy with who you are.
I think I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot happier than I was wandering around in a suit and tie and pretending to be a business person. That was quite a mask. That was a tough act. This is a lot easier.
Yeah. And so sort of how long, I suppose, have you sort of been sort of presenting, I suppose, as Amanda?
Presenting outwardly to the public, 15 years. And that just happened through necessity. I just had to do it. That first time was a bit scary, but only a bit. and it's been seamless from that day till this.
Mm.
So I've never had an untoward incident. I go wherever I like. You know, it's life's. I'm a bit lucky in that, you know, I've just not had anything that would cause me to question who I am and what I'm doing, which I may be, you know, a false sense of security, but I'm going to fly with that for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, if it's working.
It seems to be. I mean, obviously some people will be questioning, but for instance, if I go to the theatre or the ballet and happen to sit next to someone, yourself and a partner or a friend, and say hi, they're going to know straight away they're sitting next to someone who's different to perhaps the person they imagined they would sit next to. But I essentially chat, you know, about the show, the weather or whatever is happening in Melbourne. And we normally, and even though you can see that flinch, that instant where, what am I doing? Can I move? Can I change my position? And you know that they're wondering what to do. By intermission, we're having a drink together. And that's just how I live my life.
So sort of just engage.
Engage, absolutely. And the more opportunity I have to do that, not to preach or say, you know, isn't this fantastic and do you like my new frock?
Well, that would be nice on occasion.
It is. Never knock that back. But engaging is fantastic. And I would like to think that it does change people's perspective. So it's that chipping away. It's that little bit at a time. And as I said, not one untoward incident. So I feel pretty blessed. Because I do hear awful stories and I'm sympathetic and, you know, some of the stories I've heard, I'd be the first person to want to do some serious slapping. But it hasn't happened to me.
Yeah. So you've been sort of lucky.
I'm very lucky, I think. Incredibly lucky.
Yeah. And you said sort of you've got your 2 children.
Yeah.
How are they sort of in terms of...
Look, they're fabulous. We've got a terrific relationship. They're grown up. They're big grown up, you know, people, 27 and 22. My son in particular is, in my world, an angel. He's one of my best mates. He found out about Amanda when he was at university and rang me up and said, you know, we better catch up and have dinner, and we sat down at our favourite pub and he said, look, listen, I know about Amanda. Are you okay? Is there anything I can do?
Wow.
And you know, he just continues to blow me away. Very supportive. It was a bit harder on our daughter, and I understand that, and it's still a struggle. But we're good friends.
Yeah.
She's recently married. She had a beautiful wedding, and you know, it was sensational.
Fantastic.
Good fun.
Well, look, I mean, I'd love to continue to talk about, I think we could talk for sort of hours, but thank you so much for sort of coming and just sharing a bit of your story. So a big thank you to Amanda. You've been watching Transmission.